Hello there. We're getting our last episode, and we got the hello there in this episode. I think there was some good fan service in this episode, so I was pretty happy with the way that they did a bunch of that. We're gonna get into it in just a minute. I'm gonna just quickly tell a little bit of a moment, just to because I like cross promotion too. We do these things called playback on Tuesday nights. We're not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday we'll be back. And this past Tuesday, the Sox went into extra innings. We were on until I don't know what time was it, Josh? Like 11:30.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll put the link in the chat so you guys have it. You could go there and watch us anytime, any Tuesday that we're on. But it's a good time. But 4 hours of the game, or 4.5 hours, whatever it was. It's 11:30. I'm like, okay, I got to go to sleep now. And then I was like, oh man, I got to get up early and watch Obi-Wan before I go to work. So I got up like a few hours later.
Watched Obi-Wan. You're crazy.
And I had to, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to spend the whole day and not go on Twitter. And like, there were spoilers abound on Twitter. I was really disappointed in Twitter. There was a lot of the picture of Vader with the helmet cracked open. So I was pretty surprised by that. But got up early, watched it, and I was not disappointed. How about you, Josh? How did you feel about the episode?
So I slept in longer than you did. I woke up about around 8 o'clock the next day and then watched Obi-Wan. And I really enjoyed the finale, and we're going to go through it. My overall gist is it was nicely done to wrap up this particular story of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it gave Deborah Chow and the Star Wars team an opportunity to answer the question, okay, so what's Obi-Wan Kenobi doing while watching Luke Skywalker from a distance? And we got that story. I do not think we need a season 2, but it is Disney, and Disney loves money. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got season 2, but I do not think it is necessary after watching this finale.
Yeah, I'm with you on the. I don't need a season 2 of this. I thought they wrapped it up really nice. I think you could do spinoffs and stuff. I have a whole bunch of spinoff ideas for you later in the show, Josh. You're gonna love them. You're gonna love all of them.
Excellent.
Okay. So let's get into the episode. So I think the first piece that we really get into is REVA coming for Luke. And I put this picture of Beru up because Beru was badass in this episode. And
yeah, where is this coming from, by the way?
So
like, where is this fearless?
I think there's like in the comics, I believe that she is more of a badass. And like, because they go back and explain how they get Shmi to be part of their family, and it involves like them like kind of rescuing a lot of different slaves and like working to free slaves more so, and Beru was part of that. But yeah, I don't know. That's I don't know how much that's in the comics. So I'd have to ask some of our friends who are more comic centric. But yeah, it is pretty awesome. And I just love that, like, she just is like, hey, we're going to do this here. And by the way, I got all these guns. Like
that I can believe. They're farmers. They're, in the desert, in the, the sea. They have to deal with Tusken Raiders. So the amount of guns that they have doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is just how fearless that she is, that, oh my gosh, this Inquisitor is coming. Instead of like being scared and wanting to run away, she's like, all right, let's fight. And that kind of took me by surprise.
I love what they, so the part of this that I really loved was Owen and Beru defending Luke, right? And like in standing up and being that what Obi-Wan was supposed to be for him. The part I didn't quite love is like, I didn't really understand why Reva was there. Like, I after watching it a few times, like the only thing I could think is I have to make this leap that she knows that Luke is Vader's kid and that she's coming for revenge, right? And then the revenge line makes sense. The justice line makes a little more sense. And just her want to kind of kill him makes some sense. But that was the only part that I had a problem with. But that is kind of the premise of the whole scene. So like that, I don't know. What was your take on like why is Reva there? What is her goal here?
Yeah, there's a lot of jumping to conclusions with this particular, let's call this the B plot, because this is the B plot. We'll get to the A plot in a moment. There's a lot of jumping to conclusions in the B plot that I would like the answer to be, we shot that footage, but it didn't make the final cut. Then that's the editor making that final decision. And the editor may make that final decision because the acting isn't good, or it's not a well-composed shot, or it drags way too much and it impacts the pacing of the overall episode. You know, not everything could be the Zack Snyder cut and last hours upon hours upon hours. You have everything that you shot in the particular episode or in the particular movie. But the way that was cut in the final version that we were delivered, yeah, there's definitely some jumping to conclusions from Reva's aspect. Like, I would have liked to know why her assumption is it's this random farmer that I met in the town square. All I got is a name, but why? Like, what inkling? You know, it would have been cool just to see her meditate and using the Force to, you know, reach out and see if she could make that connection. But we didn't get that scene. Maybe they shot it, but it's not in the final episode.
Yeah, the problem here is like I'm with you. I don't know that there's a good scene for her to just kind of like draw the conclusion that, oh, this is Vader's son. Like, because even if she would have like looked at the holo and then like turned and been like, oh, Vader has a son. Like, who are you saying that to? Like, you know, it's like there's no way to kind of draw out that conversation and for her to like, you know, say what she's doing. So I think we just have to assume that she was, you know, she realized that it's Vader's son somehow. Yeah, and now this is her mission.
Now, thinking about it more, what the live action Star Wars is failing here is the power of holocrons. If she had a holocron, it is possible using the Force and searching through the Force while using the power of the holocron that she can make some connections. Maybe she gets a flashback of Padme naming the twins Luke and Leia, which then she can maybe bridge that connection. And then, you know, she knows that he's on Tatooine, and then maybe she gets a vision of Owen. I know that guy. That's the random farmer. And he yells out Luke, and that's where the holocron helps guide Reva to make that type of connection. We did not see the holocron power. We saw Kylo Ren pick one up in The Rise of Skywalker, but we really didn't see him use it. We still haven't seen the holocrons used in live action. They are incredibly important and incredibly powerful in other Star Wars content, especially in Rebels. We have not seen that type of power at all in the live action series for Star Wars. And I feel like it's a very important narrative tool that they can utilize to help visualize and show to the audience how the Jedi or Sith are being able to get these type of answers, how they're able to locate Force sensitive kids. It's just not a feeling. They have a tool that can display where these Force sensitive people are. And we have not seen this in the live action, and we need to start seeing this instrument used more often. Because it definitely helps in these particular situations of when people are asking the question, how did Reva know Luke Skywalker is the son to Anakin and Darth Vader? well, that's how she would get the answer, but we're just assuming that she knows that it's Luke and he is, with Owen, this random farmer I met once in the town square. Yeah, that's a stretch.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, like she's got just the name, right? Like she's got that Bale's gonna go see Owen on Tatooine, right? And it's about the children. Like there is a big jump to conclusion there, but like I'm willing to push that away. But I do like what you're talking about with the holocrons and more of these like kind of Sith and Jedi artifacts. I think I'd love to see that start to come into the live action when you start getting characters like I'm just assuming Reva's going to get more more screen time, and then Ahsoka, because they're both going to be kind of non Jedi, non Sith Force users, with a lot of knowledge about both. So I think that could be interesting. I also would love to see in one of those either Ahsoka or with Reva, and I thought maybe we were going to get a touch of it in this. Is that when you take the kyber crystal and you bleed it, that's what makes it, the Sith lightsabers are red. You can like cure it, which Ahsoka did. That's why she has the white lightsabers. She took those from an Inquisitor, and turn them back white. I'd love to see that happen in live action, like them actually cure them. Reva's, if she, I don't know if she left the lightsaber there. But if she didn't, I mean, that could be cool. Also, I kind of thought she was gonna die still. Like I like, and I don't mean like I didn't think like Obi-Wan was just gonna go, well, and then like chop her head off or something. Like I thought like that like once she like kind of had that moment with him when he tells her, by showing mercy, you've given them peace. Like I thought she was just gonna like slump over and die there, but she didn't. And now there's he's kind of like, hey, what you become now is up to you. That definitely feels like there will be more with her.
I agree.
All right, let's get into the A plot, because this was some greatness here. The Vader versus Kenobi. I mean, there's just so much to unpack here. But I will say that this is up there for fight scenes for me in Star Wars. This might be my favorite now. Like it was that good. It was that good. And because there's so many subtle little things, and I'll give you one that like I really enjoyed, is that because we had the fight scene with Reva in the previous one, and because we saw Vader just demolishing Obi-Wan earlier in the thing, when Vader is fighting with him, he starts out with kind of the one-handed, like, I'm just going to, tear this guy apart. And then there's a point when he goes to two hands in more of a defensive, maneuver. And it's like, okay, he's actually worried now. Like there's actually, you could see kind of the tides turning in this fight. And I thought that like those little things that they did, the lighting that they use with the lightsabers, things like that, like just incredible. What'd you think, Josh?
This is obviously what they were hyping up, right? They were hyping up that this duel is going to be right up there with Revenge of the Sith. I'm going to have to watch it a few times because I don't know how many times I've seen the Revenge of the Sith duel, more than 100. And it's still phenomenal every single time that I've watched it. What I really do enjoy between this particular duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is strong use of the Force. So there's the scene where Vader collapses the ground underneath Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's got the high ground. And here I'm thinking, oh, this is a great moment for Darth Vader to look down at Obi-Wan Kenobi and tell him, now I have the high ground. And then just start pulling all of these rocks on top of him and burying him alive. I'm a bit surprised that Darth Vader walked away from that, thinking that there's no way that Obi-Wan Kenobi can come back from that. It's a lot of rock on top of him. But that particular moment, as Obi-Wan is searching through the Force, searching for a source of strength, and it seems like it's Leia. Like he still has this purpose to protect Leia, and just the absolute power that he can demonstrate. Because when we see great feats of strength in Star Wars using the Force, it's oftentimes coming from the dark side. But here it's coming from the light side, where we see this great amount of strength. And yeah, just the shooting the rocks and the boulders at Darth Vader, like that was awesome. I loved that type of power. And again, it's just something that we really haven't seen. I mean, we've seen Yoda catch the electricity and make it into a ball and absorb it, which is cool. We've seen them be very good lightsaber duelists, but we've never seen that type of power where they are using the Force as an attack.
The amount of rocks that he shot at Vader, which I keep laughing when they use like rocks for any of this stuff, because it just like brings me back into like Rey being right that the Force is like moving rocks around. But the part when he's underneath there, like I really thought that they did that very well. Like so he's really taking it, like, and this is something that they kind of have the Jedi do poorly throughout. And they kind of like dwell on their failures. They can't get past their failures. And so that's, when he's struggling, he's hearing all of the Anakin voice and like where he failed. And it's not until he starts to say like to himself, like, I can learn from these failures and help this next generation and help these young kids. And that's when he's able to do it. And I really like that they kind of, they start to show him free himself from this, and then he gets out, and that scene is amazing. I do want to say though, when Vader, the ground thing is awesome. Right before that, he mentions to Obi-Wan that he's got his strength back, but there's still weakness, and I think that that's the weakness he's talking about. Is Anakin is his weakness, and it's not until he breaks open the mask, gets real face to face with Anakin, and Anakin drops that line. I just loved that he was like, and this is, reinforced in the books as well. Anakin sees Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker as two separate people. Darth Vader had killed Anakin Skywalker. And he repeats that here. And I thought that was really awesome. And like the emotion of, I mean, it helps to have amazing actors like Ewan McGregor. But the emotion in that scene is incredible. And him finally calling him Darth as he walks away, I thought was really good. I was also like, can you finish the job? Yeah. I knew we know they're both going to survive this, right? But like, I'm just like, kind of like, man, you probably should have finished this off. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that part of the scene. I do want to jump ahead to the end though, because the part that like made me laugh was when Vader's talking to Palpatine after all this. And Palpatine's basically just like I'm tired of hearing about your ex, basically, is the comment there. Like it's pretty, like it's almost humorous as you look back on it. It's just like, dude, do you love me or what, man? I'm getting a little tired about hearing about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, when we talk about spin-offs, I think that is something that plants the seed that if you want a Darth Vader series, that seed of friction, disconnect between the Emperor and Darth Vader, I think it would be a very interesting series. And the Emperor testing Vader as far as his allegiance to the Emperor, or if Vader is truly as strong as the Emperor needs him to be his apprentice.
That would be cool. I mean, like in the books, and I'm sure in the comics, there is a lot of that kind of stuff, and like bringing that to live action would be really great. Like seeing like just like a very dark show,
Yes.
And until this series, I wouldn't have thought Disney would do it. But I think that they, like you mentioned earlier, they see the money in something like that, and I think that if the Acolyte is successful, we might see like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get a lot more Sith stuff we might get that Darth Maul show that we've been hearing about. And then if we get a Darth Vader show, even better. We got to talk for a minute though. The voice, the scene when the helmet's cracked open and they're doing the voice and they're breaking between the voices. I mean, it was extremely effective, but also, I mean, that just sounded great. Like I was,
It did.
if you told me that they were going to do that, I would have been like, let's see how that goes. And I'm sure that like whoever was, writing that part, when they handed that to somebody, they're like, this might be terrible if we if we don't do this right. But that's one of the things, in the Star Wars series, they're always kind of willing to take that leap, and sometimes it's the extra Muppets that they put into Return of the Jedi that didn't do anything for it, and sometimes it's this, and like that's why you gotta take some of the bad at points, because when they get this right, it's just incredible. I couldn't get enough of that scene.
Obviously, this is a shout out to the Twilight of the Apprentice episode in season 2 of Rebels, where this scene is very similar to the scene between Darth Vader and Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say it's a ripoff, but now this has happened twice to Darth Vader. And he doesn't act any different than, well, obviously this is being shot after that particular scene in Rebels. So you can't redo that in Rebels, right?
Right.
So now it just seems like it's a bit odd that this has happened to you a second time, Darth. Why do you need a new helmet again? Why are you letting people cut your helmet? Where are these people? You let them walk away? You fool. Why would you let them do that? But I do enjoy that they kind of harken back, because that is one of the best scenes in Rebels between Ahsoka and Darth Vader. When Ahsoka, is still trying to save Anakin. And at that moment, Darth says something very similar to Ahsoka, what he said to Obi-Wan Kenobi, that Anakin Skywalker's weak. I killed Anakin. And if you haven't seen Rebels, that's when Ahsoka's like, then I will avenge Anakin. And Darth, I think, says something along the lines that you will die. And then the duel continues. Here, he's just so beaten up by all these rocks that hit him. And then he gets his helmet sliced, and he just doesn't have the energy to fight back Obi-Wan Kenobi or chase him down.
His respirators broke too, because Obi-Wan went for that first. That was, smart move, Obi-Wan. You knew
smart.
Where to go.
Yeah, and maybe that's Ahsoka's mistake as well. She did not go for the respirator. She didn't get that note from Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I do enjoy that they kind of harken back to a similar scene as far as in Rebels. I get, some of the criticism. People are like, oh my gosh, this happens a second time to Darth Vader. But it is very impactful to have the mask removed, to see the eyes of Hayden Christensen playing Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. You can't even recognize that it's Hayden Christensen with all the prosthetics and all the makeup, and they do a terrific job of making him look a severely burned human being. And just the eyes, just the eye contact, especially in this screenshot between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, is very impactful, and it does lead up to A New Hope. Well, I believe,
and Jedi. If you ever wondered where that scar on top of his head came from, we got it.
Yes,
put that in there. I agree with you on the Rebels thing, but I think something to keep in mind when we watch these things is like, not everybody consumes everything Star Wars, right? And there's tons of people that are like, I just don't watch the animated stuff, or I don't read the comics, I don't read the books, whatever it is. So some of these things are just going to be repeated into live action, and for us, we'll be like, oh, I've seen this before. But I for the majority of people, it's going to be like, whoa, this is some wild stuff, and I think, that's that's something we gotta. It's hard to keep in mind when I know went back and rewatched that episode before before this series started, knowing that there might be a Vader battle here.
I do like the
but
comment
still,
from Jeff Muggs, and I do like this thought that he provided in the comments section that Ahsoka cut out the left side of Vader's mask and Obi-Wan cut out the right side, but only Luke was able to remove the whole thing. I do like this thought where obviously, I don't know about the eyes themselves, but Ahsoka was only able to cut out one part. Obi-Wan was only able to cut out one part, but his flesh and blood was the only one to remove the identity and get to Darth Vader. I do like that. Like, his master wasn't good enough. His apprentice wasn't good enough. It took his son to get to him.
I love that. Yeah. And he took the helmet off. He didn't beat the helmet off of him,
Right.
So I think that's part of it too. I do like that, they did go a long way in this to kind of make it fit with everything that's later. I think everyone had those complaints as it was coming in, but when did Obi-Wan ever think there was good in Anakin? Well, that's the weakness that he's pointing to. When did it become, oh, he's more machine than man? We just saw like the kind of the mechanized voice it kind of seals that up. Like there's a lot that they were able to do to make this fit within there. I do want to I forgot about this in the last we were talking about fan service, Josh. I forgot about the thing that Owen is fighting REVA with is that same thing that they had in the trash compactor, the same thing that they used in the Mandalorian for like the ship. I'm just like, this is like the most useful tool in there. It would have been funny if it just kind of fell on Vader at one point with all the rocks.
Yeah, I do like that. That's
good.
But
yeah, it's, I mean, like I love this idea. I also, another thing Jeff said in the comments was, and that I put up for a second, was about the red and blue lighting, and that is a very cool scene. And in this moment that you have right here on our screen, this is the red lightsaber lighting this. As you are seeing Obi-Wan kind of realize that Anakin is gone. Throughout the scene, the blue light kind of like fades away as he pulls the lightsaber down and then eventually turns it off. And it's just, you're just consumed with the red. And I thought that was a really effective way of just going like, Obi-Wan's done with this. Like he's freeing himself of this, and it's all on Anakin now. He's got to live with all of what he's done. And it's not Obi-Wan's problem really anymore. I really like that lighting effect. All right. So we got Obi-Wan versus Vader. It was, to me, everything I could have wanted in that fight. I really enjoyed it. And, you kind of left at the end. You're like, there's so much to tie up here.
Yeah.
And we get something that, like, speaking of fan service, we get the Qui-Gon Force Ghost. So, and it looked just like this in the show. What did you think about this scene, Josh?
Yeah, so it's Obi-Wan on his camel. He's moving, and he's moving to what I assume is going to be the home that he's at when Luke stops by, or he rescues Luke and takes him in during A New Hope. I just like the instant reaction from Qui-Gon when finally Obi-Wan sees him and just says, "Took you long enough."
I also want to know what he's looking at. Qui-Gon, what are you looking at over there? Like, there's only one thing in this desert at this point. What are you staring off into space for?
He's probably angry because it's like, I see you, you can't see me. What is wrong with you? It's like people in a bad Zoom be like, "Can you hear me?" And like no one can hear you at all. Like,
there was part of me that after he's like, "I've been here all along. It just took you this long to see.
You're just weak."
I wanted Obi-Wan to kind of like snap, because like Obi-Wan's a very sarcastic dude throughout all of this, you know, like throughout the entire series. He's got a lot of one-liners. I kind of want him to snap back and be like, hey, I could have used some help. You know, I was just buried under rocks and you were there. I kind of wanted him to be a little bit upset about, like, you know, I could have used a hand in all of this. This was tough.
Yeah, well, if you were stronger, you could have seen me and I could have helped. Like, that would have been great back and forth.
But yeah, I mean, I like this. I like this if there's, you know, gonna be some kind of recurrence of, like, whether it be in shows or comics or whatever it's gonna be. If there's gonna be some recurrence of them communicating, I think this is a nice way to intro that. We also got the hello there line with Luke. I thought that, you know, if you're gonna introduce him to Luke, why not throw that in?
It's perfect.
And then the also tying it up, the Leia the parents moment, which, like, if that didn't give you some feels, like, you just are an emotionless person. So I like that, the way that they tied those things up. I just thought the Qui-Gon one was probably the one that we were most, like, waiting for. We were all trying to predict when it was going to happen, and it ended up not being very impactful, but, like, it kind of gave me a feeling of, like, it's good that Obi-Wan did this all on his own.
And if you are one that's like, no, I needed more, like, this just seems like a last moment at comedy during the finale, I understand. And I get that. Like, yeah, I would want a more one-on-one conversation between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon on just talking about failure and acceptance of failure. And even Qui-Gon saying, you know, I failed. I was going to train the boy. I could not defeat Darth Maul. And this is how, in the afterlife, I have processed that failure. And that would have been a one last great lesson between master and apprentice, between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is just my thought as far as how that one-on-one could have been, and you could have spelled it out more. But at least we got it, right? Like, yeah. As a White Sox fan, I'm supposed to be content that the fact that they are a professional baseball team in the neighborhood that I live. So I should just be grateful for that. As a Star Wars fan, I should just be grateful that, yeah, we did get to see Liam Neeson, and he got paid a lot of money to do maybe 20 minutes of shooting. So good for him. We got this. I don't think we'll see him again in live action.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think, though, like, what I do like that is, like, they were able to leave this open-ended enough so they could kind of do whatever they want, which is good. But this begs a question from me about this whole series, and there was talk that originally this was going to be a movie, and as you watch it as a show, do you feel like this probably should have been a movie, or do you think that it worked well as a television show?
For the ones that keep saying this should have been a movie, I want to see your cut. And how long of a movie are you going to do this? If you are one to say, I want to do a 2-hour movie, no. I don't.
No way, you can't. Yeah,
this is probably, I would say you need to add another half an hour of storytelling. And that's where it gets problematic, right? Because then you get the debate, well, 2.5 hours is a long time for a movie. You know, this isn't the Avengers or whatever upcoming Star Wars epics that they have planning in the can right now for Lucasfilm. And then it gets into the realm of, okay, well, then should it be a TV show if you really want to explore some of the narratives and you want to expand some plot points? So in the end, I'm glad that it was a TV show. And I'm sure we'll give our final grades here in a moment as far as the series. But if you are one to believe that this is a movie, and I'm sure we will get on YouTube months from now or maybe a year from now someone is going to do a super cut, cutting this into a movie, I will definitely watch that. And then after I watch that super cut of a fan cut of the Kenobi series into a movie, then I'll reserve my judgment until I see that cut. But that would be my question for those that are constantly saying, and there's a lot that's saying that, well, this should be a movie. I want to see your cut. I want to know how you take 5.5, 6 hours of content that we saw from Kenobi and put it in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I think you lose a lot if you do this, right? You have to speed through a number of things. And I think part of what they've been doing in these shows, especially the ones that are coming up as well, and in this show especially, that they are building the rebellion, right? Like they're starting to show you who all these people were, right? From, you could go back as far as Solo, when they show Memphis Nest and they start to say, oh, there's this rebel cell over here. And then in the Clone Wars, you get in Saw Gerrera, who eventually in Rogue One, you see kind of his group come to fruition. And then you're getting Andor as a show, but you got him, you got the end of it in Rogue One. And now you're seeing Roken and his group, who start out as, just helping people, and they will obviously militarize and become part of the rebels. And then you're going to get the Ahsoka show, right? Like, so you're getting all of these kind of pieces of the rebellion, piece by piece. Having not gotten Tala or Roken and really digging into them a little bit, that would have been a loss. That would have been a loss, and you would have to lose that to do this, or you have to even cut the Inquisitors more. Like, I don't know. There's like so much that like I feel like would be missed if we cut this down to a movie.
And we did get this comment in the section from TJ, and I think he puts it well. If you wanted a movie, you're into the storytelling and action of the universe. If you like the length of the show, you're into the lore of the universe. And that's well said, TJ. And it really depends on how big of a Star Wars fan that you are. If you're like us and we love the lore of it and we know the history, and we are excited that based on this history, what other stories could be possibly told. And we'll get into our spin-off ideas in a moment. Definitely, that's why I side more on, I'm fine that this was a show. But if you enjoy Star Wars because it's a great popcorn flick and you only have 2.5 hours to dedicate your attention to something, then yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the movie, may have been more of your speed.
I'll tell you, I'll make 2 points real quick on this, and we'll get to the next part. One is I always enjoy them doing shows instead of movies because I can watch them on my couch. I'm a big fan of that. And two, I actually think I would like to see this be longer. Like there was more stuff I wanted. So let's get into anything they missed. And trust me, every time we're going to have any type of theory or anything that we would have wanted, I am going to use this picture because I am still waiting for this. But that's not what I want to hear. So the one thing that I don't think it's a big miss, and I'll say that, it's just it's probably some of the stuff that I like in Star Wars the most, which is the dark side stuff, all the Sith. I wanted a little bit more of the Inquisitors, because in Rebels, they are terrifying. Mm-hmm. They're a terrifying group. And at the beginning, when you had Rupert Friend come in as the Grand Inquisitor, walks into that cantina and he does that whole spiel, that is awesome. And I was like, okay, we're going to get to see this guy just be kind of ruthless. Now, I understand from the way that the show was put together, you needed REVA to kind of stand out amongst them. So you couldn't make them too badass. But like, I would have loved to seen them just be a little more violent, or track a Jedi and capture him, or and interrogate him. Like, I would have liked to seen that part so that you could have just a little bit more of a fear of them. Mm-hmm. They kind of disappear at some point in the show, and then it's just REVA. So I don't think it's a big miss. It didn't take away really from the show for me, but I would have liked to seen it. How about you, Josh? Anything like you feel like this was like there was a miss, or like something you would have wanted some more of?
Just the holocron idea. I just think a lot of the things, there's just a lot of jumping to conclusions with REVA's storyline. The more I think about it, like, yeah, it's one thing, like how she figured out who Darth Vader was, that it's Anakin Skywalker. It took a few episodes to get that, but even then, it's like, was it just a feeling? Have you seen his face recently? Like, are you sure that it's Anakin, or you're just going based on assumptions, which would be pretty bold for people to just be making assumptions like that. I need more REVA. I think as far as when we talk about spinoffs here, I need more REVA, and I think in this particular series, when I look back at it, I will keep saying I need more REVA. I need more backstory REVA. I need to know more about REVA's powers other than just anger. She's very smart because she figures things out, and she knows how to find the truth. I need more REVA, and that's one of the takeaways from this series. As a huge Obi-Wan Kenobi fan, I am thrilled with the way this series worked. Huge fan service for people like me who love the character. Bravo. But now you have planted this REVA seed in my head, and I need more REVA. It's kind of like I need more cowbell. I need more REVA.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some point where, yeah, to your point, like there's got to be some doubt in her mind that is this truly Anakin? All these things, how did that all work out? There's another person that has figured out that Anakin is Darth Vader, and I'm always going to try and get him into a show, and that's Thrawn. So I would like to see a little bit Thrawn Vader interaction, and depending on how the timeline works out, maybe REVA was there. Maybe this helped solidify that idea, as Thrawn definitely in the books, like when he's with Vader, he thinks he knows it's Anakin, and he just keeps trying to pry at it, mentioning Anakin as much as possible. So I'd like to see that. That would be cool to me. But that would just be, I think, if they were writing specifically for me. So I don't know if they're going to do it. I mean, they're giving us a Mexican hero, so I guess maybe they do. So before we get into, I have a bunch of spinoff ideas we're going to go through. Before we get to that, give me a grade on the Obi-Wan show overall.
I think I'm going to give it a solid B. I think at parts I understand where people are saying that it moves slow. There are some disconnects, I would say, opportunities to flush out some of the story, or as far as the thought process that we've mentioned in several podcasts now. But at the end of the day, everybody wanted to know what Obi-Wan Kenobi was doing. And he was on this mission to save a young Princess Leia. I love the actress that played Princess Leia. I think they absolutely crushed as far as that particular character, and showing a young Leia, just the sassiness of a 10-year-old, but you can understand on how this 10-year-old becomes the leader of the rebellion, and then becomes a general, and becomes a key character in this entire universe. And as far as that mission for Obi-Wan Kenobi and the different planets that we go to, and learning more about how the Empire works, and then getting multiple duels between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. I think overall this is a very good series, so that's why I give it a B.
I'm with you there. I give it an A-. And
okay.
I think for me, the one thing that Disney's got to improve on here is they have to realize when things work in the volume and when they don't. Because there were some scenes where it's like, you only have so much room in the volume, so you cramped this in and it doesn't look great, right? And that was really, other than the Inquisitors thing, really my only complaint with the show. I really like the story. I didn't think I was going to like the story. I think when after the first episode, I said to you, like, I don't like this, the Leia thing, if they're going to stick with this, because it's too kind of Mandalorian Grogu style, but it's not, because you find out that Leia at 10 years old is a very smart, very resourceful young kid, and it actually makes what she becomes, as you mentioned, just a lot stronger. So I was dumb, and I was wrong, and it really worked, and I enjoyed this quite a bit. I will say, there's just like, and then this is me nitpicking, there's just like some scenes, like when Leia's getting chased by the people that kidnap her.
Oh, in the forest. Yeah, that
was
wasn't well done.
And there's a few things like that throughout the show where you're like, just build a big set and do this. You have the money. I'll pay an extra $1 on Disney Plus. Give me a big set. It looks like hopefully they're doing that for Andor. When they showed some of the sets that they had built for Andor. So hopefully you don't kind of run into that there. We'll see what it looks like. But yeah, I'm at an A- for that.
So where do you stack Obi-Wan compared to the other live action Star Wars shows we've seen?
So I think Mandalorian is in a class of its own. Did
you like season 1 or season 2?
I liked them both. I would probably say
both.
season 2 is probably, to me, the one that I liked better, but that's just me being greedy for some stuff, like getting Ahsoka and things like that. But I think those two, like, if we're going A+ and A for each of those seasons, and then I would put Obi-Wan after that. I'm a little bit lower on Book of Boba Fett. It just seems like a side season of Mandalorian to me, so there's not as much story there.
Yeah, back to the whole movie show. The more I think about it, you can make Book of Boba Fett into a movie and take out the Mandalorian episodes, and that could have been a movie. That could have been a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, if the only thing that is the Mandalorian is when he just shows up later, like in the room, like you could cut directly to that, it would still make sense, because there's a relationship there.
They're friends. Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, a cameo. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. All right, you ready for this? We're gonna get into some possible spinoffs. So, look, I get we want the REVA show, and you want it to be how you want it to be, but look, we're going to do it a little bit different. It's going to be intervention style, and it's going to be REVA and Elon Sleaze Pagano, the former Death Stick salesman, and they're going to help people reform their lives. And The Mandalorian actually gives us a bunch of characters for this, and you might even see someone like Hondo Ohnaka come onto this show. So thumbs up or down, intervention style show with REVA and Elon Sleaze Pagano, one of my favorite names in Star Wars, helping people rethink their lives.
You sold me with Hondo, and I want Hondo to play like a Dr. Phil type. They're bringing these people to Hondo, and then Hondo is giving them life advice, because everybody knows that Hondo gives amazing advice.
I actually wanted Hondo to be in the series. I thought he was going to be the pirate that was going to get them off. But then when I saw what happened to that pirate, no thanks. Hondo needs to live and live forever. All right. Oh, by the way, Josh, I did all these yesterday, and then I got really drunk yesterday night. So I don't know what's next. So we're just going to see as we go. We're gonna go through this together. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever seen The Running Man.
No.
So the basis of The Running Man is it's in a dystopian future. If you are a criminal and you're convicted, you may be put onto this show where they have these guys that will just try and kill you. And so there's one thing or the other. You either get killed on live TV for everybody to watch, or you escape and you get your freedom. Long story short, spoiler warning for The Running Man, there's actually no way to get out of this game, but it is a live game show. And I'm thinking we could do this with the Inquisitors as the kind of the stalkers, and then we find Jedi, and then we put them into this game show, and they got to escape. But here's the thing. Richard Dawson was the host in The Running Man. It's tough to get a host that good. But what about Watto? Watto hosts, and he's the host of The Running Jedi, and we stalk and kill Jedi with the Inquisitors. I want to give the Inquisitors a little more run.
I would not use that host. I would cast Steve Harvey as a Star Wars character.
And, I like this.
And, you know, continue the Family Feud theme from the Running Man. I would have Steve Harvey be the guest. A sinister guest, or sinister host, I should say.
I like it. I'm willing to recast Watto. I feel bad for Watto though. I'll tell you, Josh, I do want there to be like a Star Wars what if, and I want this scene when Anakin comes back as a Jedi to see Watto, and Watto's like wants to put him to work, like basically being an enforcer for him. I want that what if episode. Okay. Where he just starts being an enforcer for Watto. The whole universe is better off in that scenario. All right, let's see what we got next. Okay. So you talked about the kind of frictional pieces between Vader and Palpatine. I want the honeymoon period of Vader and Sheev. There was such horniness in the scene at the end of this where Palps just wanted Vader's love again, you know, and I think over the 9 years it's gotten stale, and he's been thinking about Obi-Wan a lot. And I think there had to be like this brief period where it was like really, really a strong bond there. They're trying to bring Padme back to life together. You know, they're in the lab figuring that out. I want that series. Now, I'm assuming lots of violence. So, you know, they have a different type of love than we're used to. But I think that this could really be good. And honestly, Josh, I just wanted to make this graphic.
It's a good graphic. And I have to say, I am sure the Star Wars fandom that was giving Moses Ingram grief would absolutely love this idea. So it should definitely be green lighted.
All right. Okay. So this one,
HAJA Solo.
There have been so many rumors about there's going to be a Solo show, there's going to be a Lando show, and these just never happen. These stories are probably written, and they're just not greenlighting it. Just give all these stories to HAJA. I love this character, and I love the actor too. So like, just give them all these stories to him, and we'll just do a series. It'll be awesome. He's a great actor, so it'll be a lot of fun. And he showed he could be kind of like the sleazy Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I like it. Green light. Let's do it.
All right. We got a lot of shows flowing out, man. You're green lighting everything. All right. So do you remember Taxi Cab Confessions? I want to do Transport Confessions with Freck. And so just think about like a bunch of drunk stormtroopers getting in his transport, and he's like just getting all these stories out of them. And then at the end, he has to have them sign a release form. Like I just, this just, you know, writes itself.
Yes, let's do it.
Right,
remember the stormtrooper, you know, conversation at the end of season 1 of The Mandalorian when they're on the speeders waiting to bring Grogu back into town. Yeah, it could be funny. It could be comical.
And they've been doing a good job of getting like comedians to put into the stormtrooper outfits. Like one of the guys in the last one was like some big not stand up but improv guy. So like they're doing a lot of that. I say you start just getting more of that, and you put them in with Freck, and we just have some good times. Yeah. All right. I think the next one is the last one, because there's one that I actually really want. Like I really think that this would be a good show, and I think it's up next. Yes. So
the RWA,
Rebels with Attitude. I think we've gotten too much of the kind of weak, you know, good-hearted rebels, right? I want the Saw Gerreras of the world that will get an octopus to blow your mind so that he could get the truth out of you. I want the Andor shooting people and like all this Memphis Nest. Two Tubes is awesome. And I want something to get to Roken where Roken maybe goes down the Saga Rera path a little bit more. And we just have a show of this kind of like almost extremist group of rebels. And now, obviously, Mon Mothma will be like, oh, you don't want to, do this. And there'll be that kind of tension between the groups.
It's needed, right? To make sense for Rogue One. Yeah,
I think there needs to be a little bit of this. And Memphis Nest needs to come back. We just need Memphis Nest and more stuff. So this show, I really want. I think we might see bits of it. Like, I don't think it'll be its own show. I think that this might just start to show up in other shows.
Okay. No, I like this. And let's see how Andor goes. I mean, we're getting 2 seasons of Andor. They're going to shoot 24 episodes, and it leads directly into Rogue One. So let's see how Andor goes, and maybe we'll see more of these characters in Andor. So the Andor becomes your RWA show that you are pitching. But I do think that you're right. And I think this point is really important because Taika Waititi is doing these interviews talking about his Star Wars movie. And I think he makes a very good point that we are at the point when we're doing Star Wars movies, we have to move away from the Skywalker saga. And I think that's why The Mandalorian was so successful. Yes, they eventually brought Luke Skywalker back. But before Luke Skywalker enters in the finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian, we're getting all new characters. We're getting new aspects of life after Return of the Jedi. This is very refreshing. Everybody is loving it. Yes, there's a cute factor with Grogu, but I think that's why The Mandalorian was such a smashing success, because these are brand new characters and they're awesome characters, and people started to fall in love with the characters. So I think he makes a very good point. And now you have these opportunities like the show that you're pitching with RWA, that you can go more into that direction that, people like gritty, they like grit. And there's an opportunity through the Rebel Cell factions that you can have more grit into the storytelling of Star Wars. You can introduce more characters. You can introduce more themes just outside of the Skywalker saga. So I think that is the right direction, and that is the right mindset. And hopefully we do get more of it.
I'll just say, let's just not do it on Tatooine.
Yeah, I think we're good on Tatooine.
We've done enough Tatooine. I think that's enough sand for me. I'm with Anakin. It's coarse. It gets all over. I'm not a fan of sand. Let's get away from it. Josh, this has been a fun 6 weeks. I'm like really enjoyed all these, and I know we're going to be back for Andor for sure. But I think we were chatting. I think there's going to be at least one episode of this somewhere in the next month or so, or somewhere in between Andor coming out, where we're just going to have a little fun. So all you guys, thank you for watching this whole season. We've really had fun doing this, and we appreciate the comments and the interaction. So thanks everybody. And Josh, thank you so much as always. And we'll talk to you soon. I'll hopefully see you at the game shortly.
Bye everyone.